Green Day Saviors album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this latest album from Green Day. You probably know who we're talking about. California-based pop punk legends, for better or for worse. I mean, the band's had a hell of a career. Not only did they, really do truly release some of the most iconic work in pop punk and punk rock of the 90s, they also have led me over the years to write some of my most negative reviews of all time. But, it wasn't always like that. I've always been actually pretty fond of the 80s EPs that they put out, as well as their debut, their Kerplunk record, which, I was super into it in high school. And I still do love it. And, how could you say anything bad about Dookie and my personal favorite, Insomniac, in the Green Day discography? These are two mega albums with fantastic material on it. There's definitely a reason why they've held up over time, and there's definitely a reason why, with these two albums, pop punk kind of got pushed to the forefront of radio airplay at the time. Now, ever since, we've certainly gone some places with Green Day. Yes, we have. The Nimrod album, this thing, when it was coming out, was hyped up big time. And I still do love a lot of the material on there. It's got some of my favorite singles of theirs, like Hitchin' a Ride. Also, some of my favorite deep cuts, like King for a Day. But overall, this thing is a bloated mess, and it was kind of a clear sign to me that this wasn't coming to Green Day as easily anymore. The Warning album, while there is a great deal of nostalgia in tracks like Minority and Waiting, I still love those tracks. So many of the deep cuts here are so boring. Now, if it's 2024, and it is, and you're still thinking that American Idiot is just a bad album, have you listened to what they've done since? I still really enjoy American Idiot, even though I understand the hate that it's gotten. But then you look at everything that they've done ever since. 21st Century Breakdown is such a bloated, awful mess. And since then, Green Day has kind of become the poster child of a modern band that thinks that they have so much to say, but end up falling flat on their face and just putting out this really faceless, cringy material time and time and time again. Their Uno, Dos, and Tre albums, they are so flavorless. These sounds like B-sides, but B-sides for a reason. And by the time that Revolution Radio came out, I was so done and so burnt out on Green Day that I didn't even review the album at the time. By the way, it's awful. And the last time we heard from Green Day with Father of All Motherfuckers, my God, I really do think that they put out their worst album. It's really just a joke of a listen, and I just re-listened to it 2 weeks ago. Not a good time. But leading up to this album, I was curious. I thought one or two of the singles were okay compared to unlistenable. So buckle up, friends. Let's chat about this thing. Now, I'm a very positive person, and even though it's been, years since I've enjoyed anything that Green Day has done, I still go into projects like this with an open mind, and I will say this. They did try. The American Dream is Killing Me as an intro. I remember hearing this as a single months ago and completely writing it off, but it has grown on me. While a little preachy, much like the American Idiot album as a whole, when Green Day have their heart invested in something, they do know how to make an anthem. And that's what we get here. And while the band's sort of holier-than-thou mentality in tracks like this is a little grating, I do think it works to this track's advantage. It's got this very welcome to the Black Parade pageantry to it that I do really enjoy as well. It's decent. I have a lot of the same feelings on One-Eyed Bastard. When I heard this single, I think my initial thoughts was, it's fine, and yes, it's totally fine. It's not the heaviest or the wildest track, and it does have a couple of cheesy moments, but once again, Green Day do actually put their heart into this. There's a lot to like about this. As a matter of fact, the chorus as it stands is really one of the most anthemic, truly anthemic and memorable here. And for a few short minutes, there's no cliches, there's nothing cheesy, there's nothing cringy or corny, there's just a decent tune. It's got some swagger too, which I don't particularly mind. Dilemma's really good too. I mean, maybe I'm going soft, but I actually find some qualities of this track to be really likable. I mean, as far as a heavy track goes, every time this chorus rolls around, it's some of the heaviest moments on this entire record. It's got that fire and determination, and I don't hate the songwriting. I mean, am I going to rant and rave about this to my friends and tell everybody to listen to it? No, but I think it's decent. And if you're looking for, a straight up, old school, true blue, true to form punk tune, Coma City is one of the best tracks here. It does have some of the same songwriting woes as some of the other tracks here that have rubbed me the wrong way, but this track's got some energy to it. It's not flimsy, it stands on its own two legs. It's passionate, it's not cringy, and once again, for a few short minutes, I feel like I'm actually listening to a Green Day record. Dare I say, this sounds like it came naturally to them, and the last 30 seconds is genuinely thunderous. And Suzie Chapstick, while I thought from a distance it sounded kind of blah, I actually think it's pretty cool. This is a genuinely heartfelt, emotional track that sounds like a forgotten 90s rock tune. It doesn't sound like a Green Day classic per se, but this absolutely does have like a great old school alternative rock sound. There are some really sweet lines, also some cheesy ones late into the album, but I'm going to give this track a pass. I think it's pretty decent. So very clearly, I do try to go into albums like this with an open mind. And when a band, especially one that's been struggling for so long, does decent moves in the right direction, I will always, give them the kudos for that. But this is still a Green Day record, it is still 2024, and there's still a lot of crap on here. Like, Look Ma, No Brains. I hated it when I first heard it, and guess what? I still hate it. This to me feels like the culmination of every piece of crap they've done over the last decade. It's a heartless, directionless track that makes you think that it wants to be a little bit wild, but it's really not. It's a cringeworthy track that sounds dated beyond belief. Yeah, the energy's here, but if you're looking for a statement or any bit of substance, just keep walking. Bobby Socks, what even is this track? This sounds like Green Day covering Weezer, but like from one of those Weezer albums, the ones we don't talk about. Oh my god, and the whiny lyrics, like what even is this? The riff is so obnoxious, god, everything about this track is just so grating. Like, hearing a track like this makes me want to take back all the decent things I said about this project. And I said before, they certainly tried on this record, but then I hear tracks like 1981. This is the kind of bullshit that I'm running out of patience for. Green Day are trying so hard on this track, but getting nowhere. This is the band just in their own head saying, yes, we can still write a punk anthem. Clearly, you can't. Once again, the energy is here, but lyric-wise, good luck finding any substance, and performance-wise, it's just pathetic and kind of awkward. And with Corvette Summer, we are back to Green Day sounding like they are covering Weezer once again for what is, I think, the worst track here. The riff, the performance, nothing about this track sounds organic or thought out. What is this track? Why is this supposed to be like some warm summer alternative rock jam? Who ordered this and why is it here? Just realize when this album is bad, it is such a bleak state of affairs. And all I could think about, listening to tracks like this is that time, a couple of years ago, I think it was right before the Father of All Motherfuckers album. And Billy Joe Armstrong in that interview said that, modern rock and roll and modern punk rock is so tame. Have you heard this album, sir? It's Green Day in 2024. Yeah, did they make some strides to some decent material? Sure they did. But listening to this album, sadly, you have to tread lightly. Strange Days are here to stay. This track is just so middle of the road. I mean, this album is a slippery slope, but not only that, it's a fast, slippery slope. This track is so wishy-washy. And once again, this track sounds like it's got that punk heart deep down, but look a little closer, friends. I mean, it's just Green Day trying to get back to their roots and sound rowdy, which is fine, but there's gotta be a better way. It's also a shockingly misguided track lyrically. Now, I will say this though, Living in the 20s, one of the best tracks here. I actually really love the crashing riff and the sense of urgency here. This is one of the most straightforward and instantaneous tracks here, and it works wonders. It really did wake me up. I mean, yeah, this album's crap overall, but this track is legitimately pissed off, and I salute it. Oh, but then we get Father to His Son, and let me check my notes here. It says, come on now, Billy. Come on. Yeah, that's what I've got. Look, I've got no issue with the sentiment of this track. It's actually kind of heartwarming at times, but it's just how they go about doing it. There's a better way, folks. I mean, softer tunes from Green Day have always been a mixed bag, but this track is so overly dramatic. Yeah, it's not good at all. And with Saviors, my patience is just waning so thin. I mean, these tracks here, late into the album, God, they're just grating on me so much that I don't even have much to say anymore. It's just overly polished, glitzy, with nothing to fall back on. And this is your album's mission statement. Yeah, apparently I'm running out of things to say, but just in time because Green Day are too. And Fancy Sauce, as a finale, this track is all over the place. On one hand, I actually really love the pacing here. This instrumental is really well done. There's some legitimate drama here. It sounds huge, but Green Day can't seal the deal because they bring no substance to the table. Not only that, but Billy Joe's vocals are just obnoxious. And this track, for a 4-minute track, let me tell you, it really does drag quite a bit. Yeah, this album, I mean, listen, I will say this. As a whole, I was able to sit through this. I haven't been able to say that since, I don't know, American Idiot, which I know in itself is, an opinion of mine. But I do think that, at least for the most part, they did try here. And they did pull out a handful of really decent, heartfelt, and well-performed alternative rock and punk rock and pop punk tunes here. That's fine. Just realize it's Green Day in 2024. You're getting a mixed bag. I mean, I wasn't expecting to be blown away. It's certainly not as bad as I expected either, but just know you're getting a mixed bag. I'm feeling a light 4 on this album, but let me know what you all think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.